the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Untethered podcast. I'm your host, Jake Johnson. Won't you join me as we go off the deep end together and do another Bible study, another fantastic, dastardly deep dive into God's Word, rightly divided, the way it was intended to be digested. Book, chapter, verse, explanation, understanding, no less, no more. Not my opinion, not my preaching, not my telling you how you're supposed to live. Just what the Word says. That's what this intention is, the intention of this podcast is, and that's what we endeavor to do every single Sunday and Monday. Tonight is Sunday, so you know it's Old Testament night. So we're going to break bad with some fire and brimstone and talk about some Aaron and Moses and God's attitude towards those people. They have been less than desirable. God had an idea. He set up a nice camp. He set up a nice fire. He gave them a nice planet, and they just could not help themselves. They just couldn't do it. They were less than what God anticipated. So he is a little upset about it, expectedly so. And we're going to read a little bit about how he handles that. Spoiler, it doesn't turn out well for those guys. But there's a little bit of silver lining at the end of the story because it works out okay for the people in the end. The offspring of the offspring of the offspring of the offspring, so forth and so on. April, what's happening, dear? Bring it on, Jake. I'll do it. I'll do my best anyway. How's everybody doing? Well, we got 3 people so far. That's good. That's a good start. Still telling me I have a video overload, but I'm not playing any video, so you just mind your own business, OBS, and I'll do what I'm doing. Quit telling me I got a video overload. I bet you money it's that lower third that I added because I hadn't had no trouble with my video until I added that thing. Who knew that text would cause so much issues? Just was waiting for you. Got to go get Kevin on. Well, go get him. Drag him to the TV or wherever you're at. Say, hey, the man is talking. It's time to watch. Time to learn about God. I tell you, I can't get no respect. Probably text is the devil. Yeah. I love you too, honey. Thank you. Hey, he's in the kids' pool. Hey, that sounds like a great idea. I'm burning up over here. I was just considering putting an air conditioner in my bedroom. I'll have to turn it off when I live stream, but at least I can cool the room off before I start. I mean, it's 100 degrees in here tonight. You can't tell it because I've been wiping sweat profusely, but I promise it's hot. Only thing keeping me cool is this nice hot cup of coffee here. Sounds counterintuitive, I know, but it's an army trick, and I promise you, you drink hot coffee, your body temperature will lower. It's weird, but it only works on hot days, though. Something about making your temperature on the inside the same as it is on the outside. Anyway. Geez, get a window. That's what a window unit. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I have a fan, and it's blowing hot air right in my direction. And I have a window unit, but it's in another room. So I'm going to go get that window unit and put it in this room tomorrow. Maybe tonight. I don't know. Depends on how hot it gets. And then I'll just run it until it's time to live stream and cut it off. It's a little bit loud. These microphones don't like loud noises. Get a bag of ice. Yeah, baby. That'll do the trick. Just curl up with a bag of ice till it turns into water anyway. Okay. We are up to 4, so let's get started, shall we? Let me littleize myself for you. There you go. Can I have some words on the screen, please? We are starting in Numbers chapter 18, verse 20. That's where we're going to peel off from this afternoon. Funny. I know. Thank you. I work hard at being funny. It's cool. Well, I don't know if it's cool. It's odd that if you put a camera in front of me, all of a sudden I'm hilarious. But if you just live around me, I'm a a-hole. Go figure. That's one of life's mysteries. I have the type of personality that people love to make characters on TV about, but they don't like knowing them in real life. It just comes naturally, you know. I do know. It just comes naturally. It ain't like I put a lot of effort into it, but, you know. I put effort into the humor part, but not the personality part. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about you. More specifically, where you're going to end up when you die. Do you know? Have you thought about it? Far be it from me to tell you where to go. That's none of my business. That's between you and God. But there is most definitely a God. And if there is most definitely a God, it would behoove you utterly... I can't even think of a word. My brain just freezes at the idea. There is no amount of importance that goes along with you understanding what it is God expects of you, if that is in fact the case. And it is. Look outside. Think about anything for more than 5 minutes, and you'll come to the conclusion that something had to start all of this. If that's true, and if wisdom serves, which it does, everyone who is of above the age of 3 mentally knows that the elders know things we don't know because they've been here longer and they've experienced more. Well, a lot of really, really, really old elders left us a book. And in that book, they left a set of instructions and a set of histories and a set of guidelines and a set of bloodlines and a set of understandings so that you could get a handle on this thing we call life that seems to be topsy-turvy and spinning out of control. Well, if you read it, you will learn some things. If you listen to other people tell you what's in it, you might not learn those things. So I would suggest looking at the words themselves with your eyes and taking your interpretation from what you read. I'm just a guide. All I can do is shepherd you into the darkness and through it. But it's up to you what you do while you're there. It's up to you the relationship you form with your Creator. I can only tell you what the book says and what it means. And I hope that that's good enough. I don't know that it is, but one can pray. Sports update. Hockey playoffs. Tampa leads Florida. Panthers 3, game to 1. Next game tomorrow at 8. Go Bolts. That's a lovely sports date updated by Kevin Cox. Just comes naturally to the camera part. Oh, I got you. You're responding to something I said earlier. OMGIDK. I hope and pray with my Father God. Yes, you do. You should. And that's for everybody to find a way to do. I don't know how to pray. I just start talking. I don't know that there's a right way to do it. If you listen to Jesus, which you should, he gives you a good way of praying, and he tells you what to pray for, and that's the Lord's Prayer, and we all know what that is. But beyond that, I would suggest you just talk to him like you would talk to a friend of yours. Tell him how your day is. Tell him what you think. Tell him what you feel, what you need. He's your father. I know because I am a father. I can tell you from certainty, you want to help your kids. You want to please your kids. You want your kids to be well off. You want to know what they're doing. You want to be part of their life. You want to be in their day. So does he. So make it so. You're the one that's in charge of that. You can either talk to him or not, but I would recommend you do. You may notice that I'm smoking a cigarette on television. Yes, I'm a sinner. So are you. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. We are not defined by our sins, but by our salvation. And as I said earlier, your relationship with God is your responsibility. My relationship with God is my responsibility. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. That seems kind of harsh, doesn't it? I am thy part and thine inheritance among the children of Israel. What did he just say to Aaron? He just said that he was the inheritance, and you don't get any part of that. What does that mean? That means that Aaron does not get to go to God. That's terrible. That's terrifying. That's the worst hell you can imagine, is to be separated from the Father. Why did he get that? Could it be that he allowed the children of Israel to make idols while Moses was up on Mount Sinai talking to God, and they could see the presence of God on the mountain? While they were still there looking at God off in the distance, they were making idols to worship to replace him, and Aaron allowed it and even provided gold for it. Now, you may know that Aaron is the high priest. He's the chief Levite, and he has a job to do, and he's going to do it his whole life. But he don't get to partake in the promised land or in the inheritance. And I would imagine his descendants don't either, but we'll see later on how that plays out. Because of his actions, because of his lack of faith. That's in the first sentence. Jeez, we're getting off to a big bang. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the 10th in Israel for an inheritance. That's a 10th part of Israel. All their inheritance. They get a 10th of it. For their service which they serve. That's the people that worked in the tabernacle. Even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. See, I told you. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. Wow. Felt like I skipped something there. So they can't even go to the tabernacle anymore. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. And it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. That's forever, in case you didn't know what that word means. Among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance. That is the descendants of Levi. That's Aaron's children. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given unto the Levites to inherit it. So they get a little cash out of it, but they don't get the blessings bestowed upon Abraham. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it to the Lord, even a tenth part of the tithe. So they get the money, but they have to give a tenth of it back. That's where the whole tenth comes from. You know, you're supposed to give a 10% of your gross earnings as a tithe. That's where it comes from, and that's why. And this, your heave offering, shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. What does that mean? That means that the heave offering that they give, the 10% of the money they give back, will ensure their protection. It will be a guarantee that God will provide the things they have need of into the future. It'll give them their fullness. Thus, ye also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give thereof the Lord's heave offering to Aaron the priest. So Aaron gets a nice little kickback. Out of all your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord, of all the best thereof, even the hallowed part thereof out of it. So nothing is sacred. If you get any money at all, you got to give 10% of it back to Aaron. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress. Again, meaning that it will be a guarantee to them that they will have their needs met and that they will be taken care of. They won't ever be hungry and they won't ever be thirsty as long as they keep this up. If they break this tradition, though, they're on their own. And ye shall eat it in every place, and ye and your household, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. That's talking about the sacrifices. I have been some kind of horse this weekend. And ye shall bear no sin by reason of it, when ye have heaved from it the best of it. Neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein there is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke, which means it's never been used as a beast of burden. It's a youngling. It's never been yoked up to a plow or anything. And you shall give her unto Eleazar the priest, that he may bring her forth without the camp, and one shall slay her before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take of her blood with his finger, and sprinkle of her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin and her flesh and her blood, with her dung shall he burn. And the priest shall take cedar wood and hyssop, which is a type of weed that is kind of thick and it's kind of spongy, kind of like a cat of 9 tails. You ever seen those things growing up out of water? It kind of looks like a hot dog on a stick. If I'm not mistaken, that's what hyssop is. And scarlet, that's a color. That's a cloth. That's the color red. And cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until evening. wondering where Diego is. And my mama. Hope all is well. Yeah, I hadn't seen either one of them yet. I'm sure they'll pop in sooner or later. I apologize for all the noises I'm making with my face. I'm so hoarse I can barely talk. I started working on my floors and all that mold and pollen in the air, and it's just a bad combination of ick. That on top of doing 2 shows yesterday, 8 hours of playing, I'm pretty hoarse. Hey, there's a Darlene. I understand, I know. Yeah, it happens. So, and where was I? And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and lay them up without the camp in a clean place. And it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel, for a water of separation. It is a purification for sin. Okay, this is getting a little bit witchy. I don't know what to think about that. What they're doing is they're circling the camp in a specific area with the ashes of the heifer to keep sin out. So within the circle is clean and without the circle is sinful. That's kind of weird, but that's what he said there. So April is not getting in the pool. She is a child pool coward. I want details later, Jake. About what? Oh, the shows? Well, before you get too excited, they were just birthday parties. It's kind of friends of mine, you know. They both wanted bands. Well, one was a rehearsal for a show next week, which is a birthday party, and the other one was a show, which was a birthday party. There you go. Kevin is a liar. Shame on you, Kevin. Thank you. It was my civic duty, you know what I mean? You got to be good to the people or they won't be good to you. Yep, that's cool too. Well, it's not like, I made any money, but it was fun, I guess. Had a blast. And he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. And it shall be unto the children of Israel, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among them, for a statute forever. He that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean for 7 days. He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. Let me just go ahead and tell you, folks, if you touch anything dead, take a shower that day. Don't wait 3 days. This is the limit. You can go 3 days without taking a shower here. Take a shower that day. It's safer, it's better, and we've got the water. We can afford it. Whosoever toucheth the dead body of any man that is dead, and purifieth not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him. He shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. That means this guy didn't take a bath and he kind of stinks, and now he's in here with all us clean folks. Yeah. God don't like that. Remember, cleanliness is next to godliness. So hot in here. This is the law. When a man dieth in a tent, all that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean for 7 days. And every open vessel which hath no covering bound upon it is unclean, period. That means throw it out. Why is that? Because God knew about germ theory when we did not. He understood that when a thing dies, it begins to decay, and all kinds of things come out of that dead body and get all over everything quickly. You don't want that. You don't want to touch anything that's in anything. Any food that's in a vessel or drink is contaminated now. That's how you spread diseases. If, for God forbid, that man had something, some kind of disease, you have it now because you're touching the things that he was involved with. So if you see a dead man, pretty much throw out everything except, valuables and stuff like that. But if there's any containers or anything that he touched physically, throw it out. Don't wash it and reuse it. Tide ain't that strong. And whosoever toucheth one that is slain with the sword in the open fields, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean for 7 days. Why is that? Well, when a man is slain, his blood is on the outside, and you're touching it. And his blood is where the life is. It's also where the diseases are. Bone, same thing. Bone marrow contaminates stronger than blood does because bone marrow has more DNA in it than blood does. And more other things. I can't think right now. I'm not on the blood train of thought, but you get the point. Bone marrow is stronger than blood. Or a grave, whereas underneath a few inches of dirt is a decaying body, and that stuff goes up through the dirt. Little microbes and such. Stay away from it. You'll be unclean for 7 days. Certainly don't go to church, the tabernacle. And for an unclean person, they shall take of the ashes of the burnt heifer of purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel. And a clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it upon the tent and upon all the vessels and upon the person that was there. And upon him that touched a bone or a slain or a dead or a grave. And the unclean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall be purified. Or he shall purify himself, and wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and shall be clean at evening. So if you have a red heifer that's never been yoked and it was burnt in Israel at the tabernacle, according to this book, turns running water into magic potion that will clean you on the 3rd day and the 7th day. I didn't write it, folks. There it is. I'd say try it if you don't believe it. Somebody told me one time that I believe it was Abraham. Which one was the guy that worked for the 2 wives 14 years? That was Abraham, right? Or was it Jacob? I get those two confused all the time. So one's father and one's son, but I get their stories are so close, I get them confused. I think it was Jacob. Yeah, not Abraham. It was Jacob. Anyway, Diego, what's happening, buddy? April was just asking about you. Anyway, he devised a way to make speckled sheep out of solid colored sheep by using a certain branch. What he was doing and what the book describes is he was building a fence that divided at the place where they got their water and separated the animals, spotted from dark. But the way it reads is like the wood that he used was some kind of magic potion. And all of a sudden they started having spotted babies. That's not what happened. He separated the animals, and he only bred the colored animals with other colored animals, and he bred the spotted animals with other spotted animals, therefore making more spotted animals. It was Donald Trump. Oh, Lord. What are you getting at now, Kevin? Anyway, my point was you got to be careful how you read things, because sometimes it sounds weird, but there's a logical explanation for it. Only in its description, in the old way that they spoke, our modern minds tend to make it sound a little different. Like this sounds like he's talking about a magic potion. That's not at all what he's talking about. First of all, running water means that it's running over rocks and sand, which means it's clean water. So there's the reason for the running water there. Anytime you have water that's sitting still, it can stagnate. But running water is purified, and you can drink it. And if it's clean enough to drink, surely you can clean other things with it. Hyssop is a very scratchy, spongy type of weed. So you can use it, and has been used as a cleaning agent, like to scrub with. So if you understand, when they put the hyssop in the running water that they captured in the container, and then they sprinkled it on the person, they were also scrubbing with it. You understand? So the guy's being cleansed twice in a week, and then he takes a bath at the end of the week with regular soap and water. So he's pretty clean at the end of the week. This is not talking about a magic potion. The reason I said that was sarcasm, so that I could illustrate the point. There you go. And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and that he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until evening. He had 2 wives at one time, yes. I'm pretty sure it's Jacob I was talking about. I get Jacob and Abraham confused when I'm thinking about the storylines, because their storylines are so similar in a lot of places. I will get the kid pool with CJ, Connor, Colin, or April. I will not with Joe. I don't think I'd get in a kiddie pool with Joe either. Who's Joe? Are you talking about Darlene's Joe? Well, that makes sense. What about me? Would you get in a kiddie pool with me? No, you wouldn't, because I wouldn't be in a kiddie pool. I don't even like the word kiddie. D's or T's. And it shall be a perpetual statute unto him. I read that. And whosoever the unclean person toucheth shall be unclean, and the soul that toucheth it shall be unclean until evening. So not only your flesh is unclean, but your soul is too. Keep that in mind when you're dealing with dead people. And whatsoever the unclean person toucheth shall be unclean, and the soul that toucheth it shall be unclean until evening. You see? Then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the 1st month. And the people abode in Kadesh. And Miriam died there, and she was buried there. Now, one thing that we talked about either last podcast or last Sunday or the Sunday before that, we read about a month. Remember me pointing it out? When God said, and this will be the 1st month of the year for you. You remember that part? It was a couple of books back, or a couple of verses back. Anyway, what I did not point out at that time was that's the month of Nisan. Okay? Some very important things happened on the 14th day of that month. Namely, Passover happened in the 14th day of Nisan, which is the spring equinox month. We call it April. April. Christ was crucified on the 14th day of Nisan. The Red Sea parted on the 14th day of Nisan. You understand? This is a very important date. I just heard something rattle and fall around. I'm wondering if somebody's about to attack me. I think the cats are getting restless. Anyway, the 14th date of Nisan is a very important day. Lots of important things happened in that month. And I wanted to point that out to you so that you could do a little research on your own and find out all the different things that occurred in Nisan. That's a Jewish month. You can look them up. There's different ones. Abaya, Nisan. I don't know them all, but you can look them up. They're easy to find. Google it, man. And you will learn some interesting things about numerology and how God does things at a certain time all the time. The dog is back. That dog that was terrorizing you Wednesday? Yes, it's very much important. All right. Diego, glad to have you with us, buddy. I can't remember if I said hello or not, but hello. But the man that shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that soul shall be cut off from among the congregation, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of separation hath not been sprinkled upon him, he is unclean. And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until evening. I feel like I've read this already. I did. I didn't switch the page. Miriam died there, and she was buried there. That's where we stopped. And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. Again, these people don't learn. You don't mess with Moses and Aaron. They're on a mission from God. And the people chode with Moses. They bickered at him and whined in his direction and spake, saying, Would God that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord? And why have ye brought up the congregation of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die there? And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt? There's that Egypt stuff again. Pashur. Mashugana. And I'm not even Jewish, and I'm cursing in Jewish. To bring us into this evil place. It is no place of seed, or of fig, or of vines, or of pomegranates. Neither is there any water to drink. Wah, 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 wah. You forgot when God made water come out of a rock not too long ago? You think he won't do it again? Come on, people. And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes. Oh, it's happening now, is it? And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. Now, I don't know if you understand this or not, but we're talking about 1 million+ people. It's a lot of people in this congregation. It's 12 tribes and their children and their children's children and all their wives and all their livestock and all their cattle. We're not talking about a little stream here. We're talking about a outpouring of water that would fill a basin, right? And if you go to Arabia right now, where Mount Sinai is, you will see right there at the foot of it, not too far away, there's a big rock with a split right down the middle, and then there's a big gully right in front of it, like a big washout happened. But there's no water anywhere. That's where that occurred. You can find pictures of it on the internet. Look it up. Look into the findings of a man named Ron Wyatt. RonYWYATT. Ron Wyatt. And he's got pictures of it. I don't know if I believe everything the man says, but he's got pictures of the actual places. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? Them people must have thought Moses had lost his mind. And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice. Now, did God tell him to smite the rock twice? No, he did not. He told him to speak to the rock. So Moses just disobeyed God's direct order here. I want you to be aware of that. Smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. That's a little underwhelming. We're talking about a monsoon coming out of this rock, a flood pouring out for hours, enough to fill the needs of 1 million+ people. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, Because ye believed me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. Now what's God mad about now? God told Moses to speak to the children of Israel and tell them that God told him to speak to the rock. And because God wanted it, water would come from the rock. That's not what Moses did. Moses showed off. He showboated. He went out and yelled at the rock and hit it twice with his stick, like it was him that was making the water come out. He took God's credit. You understand that? That's not glorifying God. That's glorifying Moses. And because of that sin, he doesn't get to go to the promised land. He will die before he ever reaches the promised land. He'll get to see it over the valley. He'll see it, but he'll never make it there. He'll die before he gets there. This is the waters of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with the Lord, and he was sanctified in them. Now, the word Israel means to wrestle with God. That's what the word actually means in Hebrew. And you'll see that from the very beginning, time and time again, that's exactly what the children of Israel have been doing, wrestling with God. They strive with him, they chode with him, they argue with him, they bicker at him, they whine about him, they complain to him, they are released from prison by him. Some of them are imprisoned by him. It's just a constant battle between God and Israel, culminating at Jacob, who physically wrestled with God himself for an entire evening. And no one won that fight. I should let you know that. It was a tie. And they fought for a long time. And God pulled a punch. He had to reach his hand in and strike the hollow of his thigh, meaning he made him crippled, so that he could win that fight between a man and an angel. I assume it was an angel. It was God himself, but I assume it was Gabriel the archangel, because God is not a physical, corporeal being. So I don't think he could physically fight with Jacob. So I assume it was the face of God, which is Gabriel the archangel. Anytime you hear God's voice, you're hearing it through the mouth of Gabriel the archangel. How do I know that? I have no idea how I know that. I've read it somewhere. but that's my understanding anyway. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, Thou knowest all that travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are at Kadesh, in a city in the uttermost of thy brother. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields, or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by thy king's highway. We will not turn into the right hand nor unto the left, until we have passed thy borders. This is Moses asking for permission to pass through the land. Wise choice in his mind. And Edom said unto him, Thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. Not so smart on Edom's part. And the children of Israel said unto him, We will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, it's my responsibility, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, Thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against them with much people and with a strong hand. He was ready for battle. He thought he was doing something. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border. Wherefore Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh, and came unto Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor, and by the coast of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up into Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son. And Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor, in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. And Aaron died there in the top of the mount. Right then and there, he just fell over dead. Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. And when King Arab the Canaanite, not to be confused with the Kenites, Canaanite, people from Canaan, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, I swear I think there's a rat under my feet. I keep hearing something go by me. Could be a demon. It's probably a rat. If he happens to run across my foot, he's going to be in trouble. I can tell you that right now. Him or me one. We might both have to come out of here. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. I skipped a line, sorry. Then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoner. That was the king of Arab from Canaan. Fought with Israel and took some of them prisoner. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, the Canaanites, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened unto the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. I assume because it was at the foot of the mountain of Hor. Hormah, meaning the place of Hor. And they journeyed from the Mount Hor, and by the way of the Red Sea, they went alongside of the Red Sea, the same one they just crossed through not too long ago, going down alongside of it to compass the land of Edom. They went around it. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way, because they went the long way around. Rather than going through Edom, they had to go all the way around, and they didn't like it. They weren't very happy about it. And the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in this wilderness? Does this sound familiar? Like they like a broken record. For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loaneth this sight. Loaneth this light bread. Loatheth this light bread. Meaning they're not getting enough to eat and they hate it. Try to say loatheth 3 times. It's hard to do. Were you not there when God pulled water from a rock not too long ago? Do you not think he will do it again? Foreshadowing. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. That's what you get for whining. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Get ye to where you're going, and quit whining about it. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, you think? For we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the asps or the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. Good man that Moses. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole. This is called a caduceus. You may recognize it. Look on the side of any ambulance, and you will see this symbol of a serpent wrapped around a pole. It's called a caduceus. It comes from Moses. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. Could be said to be the first medicine. You look upon that serpent on that staff, and if an asp bites you, you will live. That is, by the way, physically causing you to raise your eyes up to God. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched on Oboth. And they journeyed from Oboth and pitched on Ijabrim, and in the wilderness, which is before Moab, towards the sun rising. That's in the east. From thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zered. Now they're just steady moving along now. From thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coasts of the Amorites. And for Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. That reminds me, do you remember last Sunday when we were talking about the spies that Moses sent into the land, and they came back and said that they were big boys, the sons of Anak, that we were like grasshoppers in their sight? Well, Anak is the man who, have you ever heard, like on Ancient Aliens, they talk about the Anunnaki? You know, the quote-unquote race of alien beings that once lived on this earth? Well, they're actually descendants of Anak. They are the Anunnaki, or of the Anu. Anak, the Anu people. You understand? So that'll give you an idea who those people were. They were the people that settled Samaria in that area. And they're the ones that have all those interesting drawings on the walls of men with wings and wristwatches and pine cones. And I know you've seen all those pictures before. I've learned something new. Yay. Well, there you go. The sons of Anak are the Anunnaki. They're not aliens, but they are also not human beings. They are a hybrid, a speciation between angels and women. And from thence they went to beer. Apparently they got thirsty. They needed some beer. So they went to beer. And this is the well whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water in beer. So God was the first bartender. Okay. Then Israel sang this song, Spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes digged the well, and the nobles of the people digged it, and by the direction of the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Matana. They went to Matana. And from Matana they went to Nahalil. And from Nahalil to Bamoth. And from Bamoth in the valley, that is in the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looketh toward Jeshimon. I don't know where any of these places are, but they sound interesting. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, Let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along the king's highway until we have passed thy borders. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border, but Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel in the wilderness. And he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel, and Israel smote him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon to Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon. The Ammon, who is the father of the Ammonites. For the border of the children of Ammon was strong, but it fell. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all these cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all the valleys thereof, all the villages thereof. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnon. Wherefore they that speak in proverbs say, Come into Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared. For there is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It hath consumed Ar at Moab. Ar, the man who owned the city Arnon, and the lords of the high places of Arnon. Woe to thee, Moab! Thou art undone, O people of Chemosh. Let he hath given his sons that escaped and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites. We have shot at them. Heshbon is perished, even to Dibon. And we have laid them waste, even to Nophah, which reacheth unto Medeba. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites. And Moses sent to spy out Jazer. I get my languages confused. Jazer. And they took the villages thereof, and drove out the Amorites that were there. And they turned and went up by the way of Bashan. And Og, king of Bashan, that's the brother of Magog, Og and Magog, those are two giants, one of which is popular in England even down to this very day. And one of them was known as a wrestler for one of the kings. Probably because of this battle right here, he was dethroned and made a a jester for a new king. And Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to the battle of Edrei. Now, Og was known to be a giant, and so was his brother Magog. I don't know if that helps you any, but that's who they were. And the Lord said unto Moses, Fear him not, for I have delivered him into thy hand, and all his people, and his land. And thou shalt do to him as thou didst to Sihon, king of the Amorites, which has dwelt in Heshbon. So they smote him, and his sons, and all his people, until there were none left of them alive, and they possessed his land. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on the side of Jordan by Jericho. And Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was sore afraid of the people. I bet they were, because they were many. And Moab was distressed because the children of Israel. Now remember, the children of Israel first asked him if they could pass through his land, and he said no. So they went around, and now they're terrified of them because they have surrounded them. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, Now shall this company lick up all around about us, as the ox licketh up the grass in the field. And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at the time. He sent messengers therefore unto Balaam, son of Beor, to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, just in case I do win, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that he whom thou blessed is blessed. I hope that you bless me by coming. And he whom thou curseth is cursed. Basically, he's buttering his buddy's bread, saying, Hey, I know you're the man, so won't you come help me, because these people are about to take over my land. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with him, the rewards of the divination in their hand. Now, what is a divination? Well, they obviously spoke to a soothsayer who gave them a prophecy that they would win this fight. And they had that saying in their hands. That's what a divination is, or a divination. And they came unto Balaam and spake unto him in the words of Balak. In other words, they spoke to him in his own language. And he said unto them, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode in Balaam. And God came unto Balaam and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Come now, curse me, peradventure I shall be able to overcome them, and drive them out. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up again in the morning, and said unto the princes of Balak, Get you in your land, for the Lord refuseth to give me leave to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak and said, Balaam refuseth to come with us. What do you mean? Have you lost your mind? You called us to come here. And Balak sent yet again princes, more and more honorable than they, higher stature men than they were, asking them to go home. And they came to Balaam and said unto him, Thus saith Balak, son of Zippor, let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. For I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people. Yeah, I said that, but I'm telling you, God ain't going to have no part of it, so you might as well go home. And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Well, there's one of them that has some common sense. Now, therefore, I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And God came unto Balaam at night, and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them, but yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. And God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angels of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his 2 servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass, and to turn her into the way. Get your butt back on the road. What are you doing going over there? I didn't tell you to go out on the field. Get back on the road. We're trying to get somewhere. But the angel of the Lord stood in the path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself into the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. What are you doing, you crazy varmint? You just hurt my foot. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in the narrow place. That's the little path that they're on. It's getting narrower and narrower. Now the angel is standing right there, and you can't pass. Where was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff, hit her with a stick. Get up, you mule. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee? What hast thou smitten me these 3 times? And Balaam said unto the ass, which for whatever reason it didn't freak him out, I don't know, because thou hast mocked me. I would there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill thee. And the ass said unto Balaam, am I not thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, nay. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, to stop you, because thy way is perverse before me. And the ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee, and saved her alive. I would have killed you if this ass hadn't turned away these 3 times. Don't you realize that? I came here to stop you. The ass just saved your life, and you're beating on her. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now, therefore, if it displeases thee, I will get me back again. I will go back where I came from. Well, yeah. But first you need to apologize to that ass you just been beating on. Oh, that's so sweet, Diego. Thank you, sir. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam had come, he went out to meet him into the city of Moab, which is in the border of Arnon, which is in the uttermost coast. It's the highest coast in the land. And Balak said unto Balaam, Did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore camest thou not unto me? I am not able indeed to promote thee to honor. And Balaam said unto Balak, Lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? I can't speak. I can't talk to you right now. The word that God putteth in my mouth, that shall I speak. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came unto, wow, that's a word. Here goes. Kirjath-Huzoth. And Balak offered an ox and sheep, and sent to Balaam, and to the princes that were with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam, and brought him up into the high places of Baal. That is the altars of a false god. Baal meaning the evil one, the dark one. Baal is also Beelzebub, is also Satan, is also on and on and on. That thence he might see the utmost part of the people. And Balaam said unto Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 oxen and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken. Balak and Balaam offered on every altar a bullock and a ram. And Balaam said unto Balak, Stand by thy burnt offering, and I will go. Peradventure the Lord will come to meet me, and whatsoever he will showeth me, I will tell thee. And he went to an high place, in Baal's territory, no less. And God met Balaam, and he said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered upon every altar a bullock and a ram. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth, and said, Return unto Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. And he returned unto him, and lo, he stood by his burnt sacrifice, he and all the princes of Moab. And he took up his parable, and said, Balak, the king of Moab, hath brought me from Aram, out of the mountains of the east, saying, Come, curse me Jacob, and come, defy Israel. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among his nations, among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, the amount of people who have died in Jacob's lineage, and the number of the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. And Balak said unto Balaam, What hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. I hired you to kill these people, and now you're blessing them? What's going on here? And he answered and said, Must I not take heed to speak that which the Lord hath put in my mouth? And Balak said unto him, Come, I pray thee, with me unto another place, from whence thou mayest see them. Thou shalt see but the utmost part of them, and shall not see them all. And curse me them from thence. Get rid of them for me. And he brought him into the field of Zophim, to the top of Pigash, or Pisgah. That's it, Pisgah. and built 7 altars and offered a bullock and a ram on every altar. That's twice. Now I imagine he'll do it 3 times. And he said unto Balak, stand here by thy burnt offering while I meet the Lord yonder. And the Lord met Balaam and put a word in his mouth and said, go again unto Balak and say thus. And when he came to him, behold, he stood by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab with him. And Balak said unto him, what hath the Lord spoken? And he took up his parable and said, rise up, Balak, and hear, with your ears to hear. Hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of a man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Is there anything he's ever said that he didn't do? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Has he ever said anything that he didn't make good? Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it. Meaning that he blessed Israel. He blessed Jacob. And because God blessed him, he can't undo that blessing. He can't reverse it. So he can't be any party to helping them destroy or get rid of them. He hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob, neither hath he seen perverseness in Israel. The Lord his God is with him, and the shout of a king is among them. Who's that? The shout of a king, that would be Jesus Christ, or his namesake anyway. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn. Okay, I get it. I know you don't believe there's a such thing as a unicorn, but that's also a one-horned goat. Or some other such one-horned animal. And we know there's a few of them, such as a rhinoceros. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and Israel, what hath God wrought? Meaning, what does God find wrong with them? Nothing. Behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, and lift up himself as a young lion. And he shall not lie down until he eat of the prey, and drink the blood of the slain. And Balak said unto Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam answered and said unto Balak, told not I thee, saying, all that the Lord speaketh that I must do? And Balak said unto Balaam, come, I pray thee, I will bring thee into another place. Peradventure it will please God that thou mayest curse me them from thence. Get rid of them. They're like varmin. Get them out of here. Ew, they gross me out. They're icky. And Balak brought Balaam unto the top of Peor, that looketh over towards Jeshimon. And Balaam said unto Balak, build me here, this is the 3rd time, 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 bullock and 7 rams. That Balak did, and Balak did as Balaam had said, and offered a bullock and a ram to every altar. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments. But he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes. And the Spirit of God came upon him. And he took up his parable and said, it means he stood up and spoke. Balaam, son of Beor, hath said, and the man whose eyes are opened hath said. That's eyes to see, ears to hear. He hath said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes opened. Could call him woke. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are they spread forth, as gardens by the riverside, as the trees of line aloes. I don't know what line aloes are, but I bet they're good for sunburns, which the Lord hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. That's what their tents looked like. In other words, they were green and really tall. He shall pour the water out of his bucket, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag. That's not Magog, that's Agag, that's a different person. And his kingdom shall be exalted. Now, who's he talking about? He's talking about the seed of Israel spreading out across the world. They're like pouring water out of buckets. There's a lot of seed. That's a lot of begatting going on. That's a lot of being fruitful and multiplying, if you know what I'm saying. God brought him forth out of Egypt. That's Jacob. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with arrows. He couched, he lay as a lion, and as a great lion. Who shall stir him up? Question mark. Not me. I'm not stirring him up. Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and curseth is he that curseth thee. That's pretty strong words. Don't curse Israel or you'll end up being cursed. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast altogether blessed them these 3 times. Yeah, because God told me to. Therefore, now flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor, but lo, the Lord hath kept thee back from honor. Oh, yeah? Would you rather have God's honor or a man's honor? I think this guy's got his mind in the right place. And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to thy messengers which thou sentest unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do neither good or bad of mine own mind. But what the Lord saith, that will I speak. And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. It's not going to be good for you, buddy. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes were opened hath said, He hath said which heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes opened. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, that's Jesus, and a scepter shall rise out of Egypt, out of Israel, that's Jesus, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Shith. It's also Joshua, by the way. Joshua is that star. He's a type for Jesus Christ. Jesus is that star. He is the eventual scepter or king of kings. So you understand this is a perpetual thing that's going to happen. It's already started happening. It's been happening since Adam and Eve. This coming up of a special person to take charge of Israel and bring them into the next place. On and on and on and on. It just keeps going until it gets to Jesus. And he is the end all be all. The buck stops there. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies. And Israel shall do valiantly. Sorry. They shall do valiantly. They'll win. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. That's Joshua. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perisheth forever. And that's true to God's word. God told him to kill every man, woman, and child of the Amaleks, the Amalekites. And he looked on the Kenites, that is the descendants of Cain. That would be Abel's brother, his children, and took up his parable and said, Strong is thy dwelling place. Thou shalt puttest thy neck in a rock, or thy nest in a rock, sorry. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Asher shall carry thee away captive. Well, we all know that the Kenites don't fare very well in this world. They have a lot of problems, but they were numbered in many, and they were builders of cities, and they did do many things, although they were always underfoot. They were always the servants or the captives. They never did very well. They never ruled any lands or anything like that. And he took up his parable and said, Alas, who shall live when God doeth this? And ships shall come from the coast of Chittim, and shall afflict Asher, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up, and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredoms with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. And the people did eat, and bowed down to their gods. Notice these gods are in lower case. They're not the God, they're other gods. And they are doing wrong by doing so, and they're going to get punished for it. After everything they've been through, they're still going out and bowing down to foreign gods, to false gods. You'd think they learned by now, as many of them have died along the way because of this very thing, this idolatry. Yes, it is wrong to bow down and worship a false god. You shouldn't do it. It's the first commandment. Don't break it. And Israel joined himself unto Baal-peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And that's where we're going to stop for today. We'll continue in 25:4 next week on Sunday as we go off into the deep end once more and learn the word of the Almighty Father. Come on. It's good enough. Whew. Boy, that was strong language there, was it not? Won't you do me a favor and smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be here. Smash that like button like it owes you money. It sure does owe me some. And share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of what we're doing here. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Leave a comment down below. Question me, curse me, bless me, confound me. Challenge me. Challenge yourself. As long as you're thinking. That's what I want. I want your critical thought. I want you to think from your own mind. And if you love this ministry and you'd like to help us grow and get bigger and help more people and reach out and have more contact, won't you take a moment and go to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand? Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing for you. It's a blessing for me. Everybody's happy, and God does notice these things. And I do appreciate your support. And with that, I will take your questions and comments. Everybody, what did you think of the show tonight? How was that? Me stumbling over my words and tripping over my language. That was something else. Anybody got any questions or comments? Anything I can do to assuage your confoundation? Build the inner linings of your mind? And give you an answer to a question you don't have an answer to? Amen, Jake. Loved the read tonight. Thank you, honey. I appreciate it. I loved it too. I enjoyed it greatly. I spent a great deal of time tripping over my words because they were using some big words. I learned a lot just by this chapter. Good. I have a question. Well, I have an answer. Hit me. Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Was you? Wasn't there like unicorns and mermaids and mermen stuff when there was other gods? It's very possible, yes. Great Bible study, Jake. Thank you, Diego. I greatly appreciate the confidence. Yes, there were definitely some things on this earth that were not godly in those days. What that means, I don't know. The extent of that, I don't know. But I know according to the records that were left behind, they sure believed in those things. To the powerful Word of God. I didn't comment because I was listening attentively. Thank you, sir. I always love it when people are listening attentively. Stop it. I'm going to get rid of this lower third thing. It doesn't seem to like me very much. Oh, well. Can't have everything, I guess. Well, there it goes. Well, half of it. What happened to the other half? Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, but why did they mess it up? It was Lucifer, wasn't it? Well, Lucifer messed up the plan of God. You understand? As far as I understand it, the plan was Adam and Eve were to have a child, and that child would be Jesus Christ, and everything would be perfect. Well, the devil stepped in and interfered with that seed, and it took many generations to get back to a perfect bloodline. See, Adam and Eve's DNA were perfect. And it took all that time to get back and to rebreed all this filth out that the devil introduced into their seed. That's the enmity that he put between her seed and thy seed. You understand? And then when the seed became perfect again, back full-blooded Levi and full-blooded Jew, there was a young lady named Mary who was a perfect descendant of both bloodlines. And through her, he could bring Christ. And so he did the business himself. He overshadowed her and impregnated her, and she bore Christ. I'm assuming that's how it works. I don't know. All I know is that that seems to be the thing the devil interferes with, is the bringing of Christ, the saving of mankind. But the sin, man did that all by themselves. They've been sinning since the beginning and are still doing it to this day. Filthy, awful, wretched things. Things you couldn't even imagine people would do. They're still doing it. The story of the prophet Balaam is one of my favorites in the Bible. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm still here. Enjoyed the podcast. Excellent. 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 How the king wanted him to curse Israel and ended up blessing them. Just beautiful. Too bad skeptics miss the beauty, the beautiful details, and treat the Bible with vicious contempt and hatred. Yes, it is too bad. They'll never understand the simplicity and the beauty of God's word, the meaning that's behind it. Such a pity. Tragic. Yes, it is. But Balaam had a word for him, didn't he? He told him a thing or two. Told him just how it was. I'm not doing anything that God doesn't tell me to do. Still stranded. I ordered my motorcycle tires yesterday, but it'll be a week before they get here. And when they get here, I'll be able to get moving again. Cost me $200 for them tires. Crazy. But I had to have them. Can't be stranded very long. I got a job to keep. And as it stands right now, I'm having to bum rides to work. I don't know how long I'll be able to do that. This shows how God can even use non-believers to accomplish his will. For Balaam was not a Jew, but a Gentile. That's correct. Did you hear about the bombings in Israel? Yes, I did. There's been some crazy stuff going on. You need to pay attention to that part of the world, because that part of the world dictates what happens in the future. And we are drawing ever closer. Every day we get closer to that time, to that end time, when the tabernacle or the temple will be rebuilt. And they've already got everything they need to rebuild it. They're just waiting on a piece of land that they already have. They just don't know they have it because they listened to some monk from 700 AD. And he said that the land was on the Temple Mount where the Muslims own that property. But it's not. The city of Zion is in Israel, right where they have land right now. That's where David's kingdom was. That's where the seat of his power was. And that's where the first temple was, in the city of Zion. It's very clear in the Bible. So they already own the property to rebuild the temple. They just hadn't figured it out yet. And I hope they don't watch this podcast anytime soon, because then they'll know. And then they get to work. And that'll be the end of that and everything else. That's when the Antichrist will be shepherded in, which is many things, but including that power that's going to take over in the end times. That world leader that's going to claim to be God. Or a God. I don't know if he's going to claim to be the God, but he's going to definitely claim to be a God. So pay attention and look out for that fella. I don't think it'll be Biden, though. He's too dumb. Too dumb and too out there. I don't think he's got it in him to do any kind of damage like that. His damage is just going to destroy our country. That's what I thought, so delete that part. What part? About the bombings in Israel? Yeah. Things are coming to a head, but don't worry, the Bible has always said that it was going to, and we've always known it would. We just didn't want it to happen so soon. For sure. Dumb, 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 dumb. That's what happens with Sloppy Joe and power. Sloppy Joes. That made me hungry now. Old Sloppy Joe. I don't know what to think about that guy. Today, Netanyahu thanked him for not interfering with him killing children. Diego told a joke. Good one. Yeah, he's a pretty funny dude when he wants to be. I've had a long weekend. I got to get up and go to work in the morning. I am a tired puppy, ready for some sleep. Won't be long. I'll probably go have lunch with my sister tomorrow if she's back from her vacation. I don't know if she will be. She might not be back till Tuesday. They went to Raleigh. Not much of a vacation spot, but apparently there's something there they wanted to see. Some kind of museum or something. Zoo, I don't know what. I'm just what? Sad? Is that what that emoji means? Why am I sad? Hot. Yes, I am hot. Sweating bullets. I might have to go walk to the store in a little while. Is it? I don't know. And they might have went to a zoo. She did tell me, but I forgot what it was she was doing. Something they went to go see in Raleigh. It was a zoo or a museum or something like that. I'll get back to you on it. I'll have to ask her. I've had so much going on this weekend, I'm surprised I remember my own name. I was earlier. I came back inside and couldn't see anything. Wow. You got too hot? Yes, it did. I enjoyed it, y'all. Going to bed. Night all. Love you. I love you too, darling. Thank you for hanging with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And I hope you're doing well. I hope your recovery is almost complete. And I miss you and I love you. I think I ain't far behind you. I'll be going to bed shortly after this podcast ends. After I get it up on the internet, and I'll be crashing. Did you guys have fun this weekend, April? XS2. That's hugs too, right? Hugs or kisses? Which one's the X's? Which one's the O's? Do 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 do. My favorite part of the story tonight is when the ass turned on the guy and he started beating on him, and the ass was like, "What are you doing, man? I'm trying to save your life here, and you're hitting me with a stick. Don't you see that angel right there? I'll cut your head off if I go any further." I remember my mama telling me this story when I was a little bitty boy about that, the angel and the ass and the man on the ass. I was fascinated by it then, and I'm fascinated by it now. And what trips me out the most about that story, though, is that the dude, Balaam, didn't freak out when his donkey spoke to him. He just responded like it was no big deal, like he had seen it before. Get some peppermint and keep it around? I got a bag full of peppermint right here. Why? Why keep peppermint around? Is my breath smell funny? Yeah, same, Jake, about the story. Yeah. Yeah, if an ass turned around and started talking to me, at the very least, I'd be freaked out a little bit. Keeps rats away, does it? I mentioned a rat earlier. Yep. I did not know that. I didn't know rats didn't like peppermint. Makes sense, though. And I don't know that I have a rat. I just saw a flash a couple of times and heard some noises. Could be a ghost. Ooh. Could be a cat. Could be a rat, though. I think it's probably a rat. A big one with teeth. Well, now I know, and knowing is half the battle. And Coke will kill them. Really? I'm not so sure about that. Might make them hyperactive and talk a lot. Come up with some business plans. That's what happens when I do Coke anyway. get a snake or a lizard or a possum or a raccoon and get them all coked out too? Nah. I'll just do the coke and stay up all night and kill the rat. But when I was 14 years old, I pulled my mom aside and I said, "Mom, I'm old enough now and I need to tell you something." She said, "What is it, honey?" I said, I tried coke the other day, and her eyes got big as saucers, and I said, "Yeah, it was all right, but I couldn't quite get the bottle in my nose, and the fizz kept tickling." I thought she was going to burst out laughing. And fake mashed potatoes. Huh. The rats are quite finicky, are they? Well, how come they always eat holes in the side of my fake mashed potatoes boxes so when I pick them up they spill all over the place? I know what you're talking about, honey. I was joking. It's a joke. I'm an entertainer. That's what I do. You can't believe anything I say unless I'm being serious, and you'll know when I'm being serious. Here's a hint. If I'm being serious, there's probably not a camera in front of me and a microphone. There goes that cup of coffee. C'est la vie. Easy come, easy go. They love cereal. OMG, I cannot stand the evil, nasty things. Yeah, I don't like rats either. But alas, I am in a house I haven't lived in 2 years, so if a rat is the only thing I find in here, I'll be doing good. I got my floors tore up all of a sudden. Now I got to get the new floors down. Lots of work. Right now, my living room is opened. You can see the dirt on the ground. I have to hire some help because I can't bend down too well. So I got to get a young man to come do some bending for me before I can put the new floor down. The bike thing was unexpected, was not in my plan. But that's how life works. And ammonia. Put some in a bowl and sit it in your oven or anywhere they may come. But then I'd have to smell ammonia. Rats don't stink. Ammonia does. I mean, I'm sure they stink, but I'm not close to a rat, and they don't aromate. They don't put off aroma. You know what else will kill a rat? My 45. Remember the book, The Founding Myth? I remember you talking about it. It has 90% like on Google. What's the Bible have? far as I know, the Bible is still the best-selling book of all time. The best-selling anything of all time, as far as I know. Rats do stink. Yes, they do. Well, they may stink, but I can't smell them. They're not in my face. The blowtorch. That's right. Shish kebab. I'll get my 45 out and blow him away if I see him. Take that, rat. You dirty rat. You killed my brother. Now I'm gonna kill you. I know you can see the edge of my, there it is. I know you can see the edge of my knee, but I don't care. I'm tired. And no, I don't have any pants on. I do have shorts on, though. Yep. I don't think I want to read any book like that. The Founding Myth. Seriously. It won't work. They put themselves back together. Kidding. They might. I know they can flatten themselves out and go under a flat surface. Like under a wall. I've seen them do it. It's freaky looking, but they can do it. Not spandex, just shorts. I hadn't worn spandex since I was 14 and was not at all ashamed of my physique. And yes, that's how old I am. I was alive during the spandex era. They can. It's freaky. Flatten themselves out. Yes, they can. I've seen them do it. They go right flat and crawl right under something that you wouldn't think they could get under. I'm sure you do, honey. I'm hard to forget. Whoa! Look at that thing. It's like a snake wearing a sweater. That's just how God made me. Can't help it. You're 1 year older than me. Come on. What are you trying to say? Yeah, I'm 1 year older than you. I did a lot in that year. You remember when we were kids? I was on my own then. Like 14. I don't want to be old either. But that's where we are. We just keep living. I have no intentions of being a little old man, but I don't see where, if I last that long, I have any choice. Old is 90. And I hope I never see 90. I'm not sure I want to see 60. Don't think I'm going to, but I might. I might surprise myself. I can't imagine it, though. I'm already pushing 50. That's only 10 years away. And I don't feel like I'm 50 in some ways. In some ways, I feel like I'm 90. Best times. Should have listened to Mama when she said, don't rush into being older. Amen. Amen. If there's any young people watching this podcast, stay home as long as you can. Be a kid as long as you can. There's no rush. You do not want to be an adult that fast, I promise. You can't go back when you get there. Take your time. Build your life. Think ahead. Plan ahead. That way when you do get out there, you're prepared. Or at the very least have a running start. $47, 46 or 47, I don't know which. One of the two. I get lost. I think I'm 47, but my sister says I'm 46. I was born in 74 in December. That's the end of the year. And I think that means you add a year. Or maybe you take one away. I don't know. I'm confused. I know there was a problem with me going to kindergarten because of my age. I had to wait a year to go to kindergarten because I was born in December and I wasn't old enough yet. At the time, I should have been old enough. I pray that we're going to have some warriors to battle when the time comes. Well, we are the warriors that will battle when the time comes. I hope you know that. You're looking at it. You're looking at the army that's going to battle. So my sister's right. I'm 46. Well, there you go. I don't even care anymore. I really don't. Not looking forward to it. I'm going to stop counting. I'll get where I get when I get there, I reckon. Well, we better shape up. Amen. That's what I'm doing here, trying to shape everybody up. Everybody who will listen. Everybody who will participate. Unfortunately, muscles ain't going to win this battle. And combat won't either. You have to have the armor of God. That's the only thing that'll save you. And I said that too. Yep. You got to be strong in faith and strong in heart and solid in righteousness. It's the only thing you can use to battle. You must be wiser than the serpent. You must see the danger that's coming and know to avoid those pitfalls. And right now, our world is slapped full of those dangerous things. Eating at our children, pulling at them. It's evil. You can tell it's evil because it's going after our children. That's how you know. And there's not much we can do about it at the moment but hate it. Try our best to stay away from it, but it's going to touch us all. It got me, and I didn't even see it coming. So, trust me, it can get anybody. Because I don't even hardly participate in the world. I pretty much am a recluse, and it still found a way to my house. That's the truth. Wicked will run away. Amen. So guard yourselves and gear up because it's coming. You must be righteous in some fashion. You must find a way to put on that armor of God. Yes, they are, and it's up to us to save them. If they're savable. I don't know that they're savable. As you can clearly see from the book we just read, that time and time again, people's children tend to go off on a tangent and go against God. And that generation will be suffered for it. They'll be punished. And it's usually the parents saying, you know, you need to walk in God. You need to stop doing what you're doing. It's bad. And that they still do it. And they still get in trouble for it. And not all generations do it, but at least every other one. That's what evil does. Comes to good to manipulate. Yep. I always say you get the most flack when you're over the target. When you're closest to God, that's when the devil tries to hurt you the most. If you're not close to God, then he's not interested in you. If the devil never bothers you, you should worry. Worry a lot. Worry why he's not trying to get you. If you meet somebody like me that every time he turns around is being slapped down by something bad, then you know. Judge a man by his character, by the fruit he bears. All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock. I love you, and I've had enough. I'll see you on Monday with the New Testament, 8:30 sharp. I love you with all my heart. God blessings abound for everyone. May he lead you and direct you and guide you and touch you and hold you and caress you and love you, keep you close to his heart. Be good to each other. Be strong. Be courageous of the world ahead of you. Don't let it scare you. Be firm in what you believe. Edify yourself and know what you believe in. Check yourself. Test what you believe in. Find out if it's true or not. Find out what hill you're going to die on. What hill you're willing to die on. Be honest. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be serious as a snake bite always. And above all, if you learn nothing else in this world, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter who you are, you must always be